A young Muslim girl claims to have experienced the unthinkable, a near-death encounter that changed her life forever. Pronounced dead for minutes, she returned with a message that has stunned believers and skeptics alike. She says Jesus appeared to her, delivering a warning for humanity, one too urgent to ignore. What did she see? And why is her story resonating across faiths? Join us as we uncover the chilling details of her journey beyond the veil and the message she's desperate to share with the world. Introduction: A life defined by faith. My name is Zina Faruqi, a 15-year-old sophomore living in Lansing, Michigan. My life has always revolved around my family, school, and faith. I was raised in a devout Muslim household where the teachings of Islam were the foundation of our daily lives. My parents, immigrants from Pakistan, taught me to value our traditions and uphold the practices of our faith. I prayed 5 times a day, fasted during Ramadan, and wore a headscarf out of respect for the values instilled in me. Faith was not just a belief, it was a way of life, something that anchored me, especially when life became challenging. Our household was modest but filled with love and purpose. My father worked hard to provide for us, while my mother managed the home and ensured we stayed connected to our roots. As the eldest child, I often helped with my younger siblings and shared in the responsibilities of our household. Weekends were spent working at my part-time job or attending events at our mosque, where I was surrounded by a community that shared our beliefs and values. But beneath the surface of this seemingly typical life was a journey I never anticipated, one that would upend everything I thought I knew about faith, life, and the afterlife. But the ordinary morning that changed everything. It began like any other day. The morning news played in the background as I rushed to pack lunches and help my mom prepare breakfast. A snowstorm was forecasted later in the week, and my mind was already racing through the list of tasks I had to complete: homework, studying for a biology test, and helping my mom with groceries after school. My little sister complained of a headache and begged to stay home, but my mom, already stressed, urged us to hurry up. I started feeling dizzy as I loaded the dishwasher, brushing it off as exhaustion from staying up late. My vision blurred, and a strange weakness crept into my hands. I remember catching my mum's concerned expression as I reached for my phone to check the time. Then, everything went black. What I didn't know was that our carbon monoxide detector had been dead for weeks. The invisible gas had filled our home, poisoning us slowly. My little sister, despite feeling sick herself, managed to call 911. The firefighters arrived just in time, finding our house flooded with the deadly gas. My mother and siblings were pulled out in varying states of consciousness, but I was worse off. For 5 minutes my heart had stopped. I was clinically dead. And crossing the threshold of death, what happened next defied explanation. As my body lay lifeless, I felt as though I was floating above it. I could see everything: the paramedics working frantically, my mother's tear-streaked face, and even minute details like the coffee stain on a paramedic's sleeve. Yet I felt no fear or attachment to my physical form. It was as though I was watching a scene from a movie, detached but strangely aware. Then, everything went dark. Not the kind of darkness you experience with closed eyes, but a heavy, all-encompassing void. It felt alive, pressing down on me with an indescribable weight. I sensed movement, as though I was being pulled by an unseen force. The presence, beautiful and terrifying. In that darkness, I wasn't alone. A presence emerged, one so powerful and ancient that it filled me with equal parts awe and terror. This being wasn't an angel as I had imagined, no wings or gentle glow. Instead, it radiated authority, love, and holiness. Without speaking, it communicated directly to my soul, flooding my mind with images and thoughts. My life began to replay before me, but this was no ordinary flashback. I saw not only my actions but their rippling effects on others. Moments of judgment and kindness played out in vivid detail, and I felt the emotions of those I had impacted. Each choice I had made, no matter how small, was laid bare, and I began to understand the true weight of my actions. A shocking revelation. Faith in chains. I had always believed that my faith was a source of light, guiding me closer to God. But as the presence revealed more, I began to see the flaws in my understanding. I saw how my rigid adherence to religious rules had sometimes pushed others away from God rather than drawing them closer. I had judged people harshly, believing I was upholding the truth only to realize I had often been wrong. Then came the most shattering revelation. The presence showed me chains made of light, binding countless souls. These chains were not physical but symbolic, representing the beliefs and traditions that people clung to. I saw my own chains, glowing with the symbols of my faith. They were beautiful, but they were also heavy, dragging me downward. The courtroom of light. Suddenly, I was transported to what looked like a vast courtroom made of pure light. Souls appeared before a judge whose presence was so bright and holy that I couldn't bear to look directly at it. This wasn't a courtroom as I had imagined. There were no lawyers or accusations. Instead, the souls were weighed by the truth of their lives and the sincerity of their beliefs. I saw people from every faith, Muslims, Christians, Hindus, Buddhists, standing before the judge. Some were drawn upward toward a radiant light, while others descended into darkness. What struck me was that sincere belief alone wasn't enough. The judge seemed to look beyond rituals and rules, seeking something deeper, a true connection with God, to the truth about Jesus. As I stood in this place of unimaginable holiness, I saw him, Jesus, not as a prophet but as God himself. His presence was overwhelming, filling me with a love so pure and unconditional that it brought me to tears. In his light, the lies I had believed about him faded away, replaced by a truth that resonated in the deepest parts of my soul. I began to understand the mystery of the Trinity, a concept I had always dismissed as illogical. Here, it made perfect sense, a divine unity that was beyond human comprehension, but undeniably real. Jesus wasn't just a messenger of God, he was God, reaching out to humanity with a love that transcended all barriers. A new understanding. As my journey continued, I saw the souls of children, innocent and untouched by the chains of false beliefs, moving effortlessly toward the light. Their purity was a stark contrast to the adults who struggled under the weight of their traditions and misunderstandings. I felt sorrow for the parents who would never see their children again, but I also felt a deep sense of mercy in knowing these young souls were safe. The presence made it clear that what I had experienced was not just for me, but for others as well. I was shown the importance of sharing this truth, even if it meant facing rejection or disbelief. The returning to life. When I woke in the hospital, I felt like a different person. The doctors called my survival a miracle, and my family was overwhelmed with relief. But I knew that what I had experienced wasn't just a second chance at life, it was a calling. Sharing my story hasn't been easy. My parents were skeptical and my community viewed my revelations with suspicion. But I can't ignore what I saw and felt. Jesus is more than a prophet. He is the way, the truth, and the life. The journey just beginning. My near-death experience changed everything I thought I knew about faith and the afterlife. It revealed a truth so profound that it has reshaped my entire life. I now see faith not as a set of rules to follow, but as a relationship with God, a relationship made possible through Jesus. My journey is far from over. Each day I strive to live in the light of the truth I was shown, sharing my story in the hope that it will help others find their way. This is not just my story, it is an invitation to seek the truth and discover the boundless love of God. The examination of the soul. As I stood in the presence of the angel, I realized that this was no ordinary reckoning. The angel was not there to accuse or condemn, but to reveal. I watched as each soul was examined, their lives laid bare, not just by what they had done, but by the beliefs they had chosen to hold. Every action was illuminated by the intentions behind it and the ripple effects it created. It wasn't just about deeds. It was about the truths we cling to and how they shape our paths. Then it was my turn. Every moment of my life unfolded before me like scenes in a vivid, unrelenting film. I saw every time I had recited the Shahada, the Islamic declaration of faith. Each time I had confidently taught others that Jesus was merely a prophet, no different than others who came before him. I saw the moments when I dismissed the Bible as corrupted, something I had been taught from a young age. These actions and beliefs, which I had once viewed as expressions of devotion and truth, now felt like weights pressing down on me. The weight of my mistakes was crushing. It wasn't just the actions themselves, but the realization of their impact. I saw how my words had shaped the beliefs of others, how they had turned away from truths they might otherwise have sought. And yet, I wasn't condemned. The angel conveyed something I will never forget. This wasn't the end. I was being shown all of this for a reason, and I was being given a chance, one that many others would never receive. Moving closer to the light. After this revelation, we began to move upward, toward a light that grew warmer and brighter with every moment. As we ascended, I felt something incredible. The chains that had weighed me down, the chains of rigid belief, misunderstanding, and pride, began to dissolve. These chains had seemed beautiful before, symbols of my faith and tradition. But now I saw them for what they truly were, barriers keeping me from the truth. And then I saw him, Jesus, but not as I had always believed. Not just a prophet or a messenger of God. He stood before me as God himself. His presence radiated love so pure and overwhelming that it broke me. I had never known a love like this, one that filled every corner of my soul and left no room for doubt or fear. Tears streamed down my face as the lies I had believed about him faded away. In that moment, I saw the truth about the Trinity, a mystery I had always dismissed as illogical. But now, it was as if I was seeing color for the first time. What once seemed impossible now made perfect sense. The angel showed me the truth of Jesus' death and resurrection, events I had always thought were distorted myths. But here, they were undeniable realities, shining with a clarity that pierced through all my doubts. Call to share the truth. The angel didn't stop there. I was shown how the world had misunderstood and distorted Jesus' teachings over centuries, how even those who claimed to follow him often lost sight of his true message. I saw how my own faith had been built on misunderstandings, on traditions and teachings that had obscured the deeper truths about God. Then I was shown something else, something that would forever change the course of my life. The angel revealed the impact my story could have on others. I saw lives being touched, people opening their hearts to the truth because of what I had experienced. I saw individuals of different faiths and backgrounds, searching for meaning, finding hope and light in my words. Finally, I was given a choice. I could remain in that place of peace, enveloped in the love and presence of God, or I could return to the world to share what I had seen and learned. It was a choice that weighed heavily on me. I knew the path ahead would be difficult, filled with rejection and disbelief. But when I saw the faces of those who could be reached, who might find the truth because of my story, I knew I had to return, to waking to a new life. Waking up in the hospital felt like being forced back into a world that no longer fit me. The bright lights hurt my eyes and my body ached with a heaviness I hadn't felt before. My family surrounded me, crying, hugging, and rejoicing that I was alive. But they couldn't understand what I had seen. When I tried to explain, they looked at me with concern and disbelief. My mother thought the carbon monoxide poisoning had made me delusional, and my father refused to let me speak about it at all. They were terrified that I was losing my mind, that I was straying from the faith they had worked so hard to instill in me. How the cost of speaking out. Once I returned home, the challenges grew. News of what I was saying began to spread through our community, and it wasn't received well. Friends I had known my entire life stopped speaking to me, avoiding me as though I had betrayed them. My parents were torn, unsure whether to protect me or silence me. My father's anger was palpable, but beneath it, I sensed his fear. Fear of what my words might mean for our family and our place in the community. Despite the rejection, I couldn't stay silent. Over time, others began to approach me quietly. These were people who had their own questions, doubts, and hidden faith journeys. Some had experienced glimpses of something beyond, moments they couldn't explain but that had planted seeds of curiosity. Hope and transformation. Now, 2 years later, our home has become an unexpected haven for seekers. People of all faiths and backgrounds come to share their questions and stories, searching for something deeper. My younger sister, who was once skeptical, has started asking questions about Jesus, about the Trinity, and about what I saw. Even my father, though still unsure, has softened. I've caught him reading the Bible in secret, as though testing the waters of this new reality. I know that not everyone will believe my story. Some will dismiss it as a hallucination, a fabrication, or a delusion. But once you've seen what I've seen, once you've experienced the overwhelming love and truth of God, fear of rejection fades away. Each day, I live with gratitude for this second chance, hopeful that my story might guide even one person toward the truth. If you feel moved by what I've shared, I ask you to share it with others. You never know who might need this message of hope, of love, and of the truth that lies beyond the world we see.